Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Not Funny Guys Presents News Radio Rewatch. And we are continuing with Season 2 of News Radio. We have a really fun guest star, really fun one coming up for this episode. We are currently on episode 12. Episode 12 of our rewatch, we are covering the episode Zoso and House of Holly. Just a quick reminder, all the rest of the titles for this entire season are centered around Led Zeppelin albums. I still don't quite know why, but I guess we'll find out eventually. But let's get into it. So we start with Zoso, written by Josh Lee, Lewis Morton, Joe Furry, and Paul Sims, directed by James Burrows. This premiered on the 25th of February, 1996. And so this one, our basic summary here is that Beth and Lisa both ask Mr. James, well, really Beth does, to teach them how the art of negotiation. Lisa wants a raise, Beth wants to sell hats, and we get a guest star from George Hamilton as Don Green. And I'm sure that, and since he turns out to be a mafioso, I'm assuming that's Don is in a title. But let's break this down. So we open with the break room. Beth and Lisa are hugging. She's finally done something. Dave comes in. Apparently, she has created a replica Donald, which they keep referring to Mushmouth, from the Cosby and the Kids, Fat Albert and the Kids whole cartoon, the old cartoon. Yeah, it's really problematic to think about what happened to Bill Cosby these days. But yes, everybody keeps confusing with a Mushmouth hat, but it's really a Donald hat. And she says that 70s pop culture is back in, which is funny because today the 90s culture is back in, and that's why we're covering this. And that the procurer, whoever wants to buy these hats from her, wants 5,000 hats within 3 weeks. Beth does not really necessarily see this as a problem yet, but in order for this to launch, she's going to need some help. So Beth thinks she's going to make it big time from this. She's getting a little ahead of herself. Matthew comes in and tries to make a Fat Albert joke while wearing the hat where he can't see it. He thinks he's making the joke to Joe, but he's making it to Catherine. Not knowing it's her and not Joe, it's a little racist. And of course, Catherine punishes him by throwing her drink in his face. So Dave and Lisa go to his office. She wants a raise. David immediately sees a conflict of interest here at this issue, and he asks that Lisa leave and come back as Lisa the employee, which she does, and he turns her down again. So our storylines are set here. We've got Lisa and Beth kind of having interactive storylines in that they're both learning the art of negotiation from Mr. James, and we'll have to apply these in two different ways. And then our storyline B is going to be that Bill is now British. Of course, Bill comes in, tells everyone that his girlfriend's coming at lunch. Joe doesn't seem to believe that he has a girlfriend. He's been dating her for 2 weeks. And he needs everybody to go along with the fact that he needs to have them all pretend like he is British, because apparently she overheard him at a party and he's maintaining the lie. He really likes the girl. He's had to watch a lot of Benny Hill tapes to keep his accent, which is pretty funny. Beth is talking to Mr. James about her hat situation. Everyone keeps mistaking it for a Mushmouth hat, but it's not. It's Fat Albert. It's Donald. Needs help negotiating with this, and Lisa then comes in and overhears this, and she wants help too. And Mr. James says, okay, I'll teach you, but you can only use this information for good. The art of negotiation, he explains, goes way back and gives a brief history of it. Mr. James starts drinking a whole pot of coffee, tells them that silence is your best weapon. Stare at them like a madman in their forehead too. This is how you negotiate. So this is secret 1. Silence. He then tells him that secret 2 is never to do business with the Cyclops. That's a joke. Lisa runs off to try the silence trick on Dave. He immediately notices not only this, but the fact that she's staring at him right here in the forehead. And he realizes she's staring at the forehead, and so it's a fail. She's frustrated. She goes back to Mr. James to learn more. Secret number 2. Answer every question with a question. Lisa leaves to use it on Dave. Again, another fail. Bill's girlfriend finally arrives. He pretends to be British, but so does Matthew. He does not understand the assignment. His British accent also keeps slipping into like an Australian accent. And then Joe even pretends that he's Italian as Bill gets them both to leave. Bill goes to Dave now. He wants to come clean, but he's afraid he's too deep. Gets Dave to own up to a lie he once told Lisa early on himself. Apparently his real favorite movie is Logan's Run. Interesting choice. Beth comes in dressed in a suit jacket. She's apparently switched clothes with Lisa. Lisa's now wearing her clothes and is mad, embarrassed, and wants to borrow one of Dave's shirts. She also then finally tells Dave the reason she can't have a raise, she wants an advance on her salary, $3,200. Won't tell Dave what it's for. Now, at this point, Mr. James comes in to get Beth, and he reveals secret number 3 is the early bird just gets ahead. He's going with the negotiations. When he gets there to the meeting and realizes who they're meeting with, he's like, this is mafia. And Mr. James knows it's the mafia, and he's like, oh no. Beth takes over the whole thing when Mr. James sort of flips out about this being the mafia. All his strategies won't work here. Again, they think it's a mushmouth hat, too. She then falls back on her old negotiating tactic, which is to break down and cry, and wonderfully, it works. And this is where, of course, where we have our guest cameo from George Hamilton as Don Green. It's amazing how successful it is. Back at the office, Mr. James wants Beth to teach him this method because he's apparently got a negotiation of his own. Meanwhile, Lisa goes in to negotiate one last time, finally reveals that the money is for, after Dave guilts her. It's for her ex-boyfriend, Stuart, who we met way back. I'm trying to remember if it was season 1 or somewhere in season 2. But apparently it's money for his band, and it's the final severing of their ties. Apparently they want money to record a song, and the name of the song is Come Back, Lisa. Dave humiliates her by having her try to start singing parts of the song, and he threatens to cancel the check. So she does it, and Dave takes great pleasure in humiliating her. Bill finally comes clean to his girlfriend, or he's going to come clean to her when she has a secret too, and her secret is that she's falling in love with him. He can't go through with coming clean and lies to her that he wants her to come meet his parents, and then has to admit to Dave that he's in bigger trouble now because now he has to find an elderly British couple who haven't had dinner yet. Fun episode. Just a good one. I particularly enjoyed the Beth breaking down and crying and how that actually was the real trick, the real secret to negotiation. But let's move on to the next episode. So, Houses of Holly. This one's written by Don DeKaiser, Brian Kelly, Joe Furey, and Paul Sims, directed by Greg Hesong. I'm not 100% sure how to say that name. This is on the 10th of March, 1996. And this one is based on the basic summary that Catherine is out sick. So Bill puts Joe on the air in order to frustrate Dave's plans about putting Lisa, but she requires it. He involved Matthew and Bill in the process. Meanwhile, Beth becomes enamored with Mr. James's weird nephew, Theo, David Cross, who I know best from a lot of things, but probably know him best from his role as Tobias on Arrested Development. We start with Beth coming to Dave's office, followed by Mr. James. Takes over things and starts trying to help convince Dave to give his weird nephew Theo a job, for which Matthew is the only one who likes him. Matthew comes in with his weird all-natural herbal tea that he's told smells like pee. Matthew, like I said, is the only person who thinks Theo is normal. Theo is standing in Dave's door, comes in, and he is weird. Dave now has to let Theo kind of try to help him out in radio, and he's like, well, I'm not interested in radio. I give motivational speeches, and he's doing this in a very monotone way. Until Theo meets Beth, and then all of a sudden he peps right up. Matthew ends up trying to show off his waiting skills, and while doing it, falls over onto the coffee table and spills the tea all over himself. Nice physical humor. Dave comes to find Lisa in the break room. Catherine is out sick. He wants Lisa to fill in for her. She makes him include Bill and Matthew in the decision process, and this is all because she's apparently reading a lot of Japanese management book. Won't go the way she's planning. He talks to Matthew first, and Matthew's immediately like, no, put me in. I want it. He's been real snotty about it. Very childish. So our storyline A is really going to revolve on this. Who is going to fill in for Catherine? Storyline B will be Theo. Mr. James makes Theo say goodbye, and then comes to show off that he's a magician. That's his real motivational stuff. And he's quite obsessed with Beth, or he will be, because she'll become obsessed with him because of the magic. He's pretty good. He hates doing it. He storms out, and now Beth is like actually into him. Bill comes in, of course, and he wants to take both parts for him and Catherine. He can do voices. He's got a guy voice from Chicago. No one's taking this seriously but Dave. They are all making jokes and fighting with each other. Bill appreciates his inclusion, though, and it was awful, just awful what he gave. Matthew is still mad that he won't be in the booth, and then all of a sudden they hear Joe on the air, and Joe is already in there because Bill brought him in. And he's doing a really good job. Bill apparently completely ignored Dave and Lisa and everybody else. Dave goes to tell Joe he can't do it. Joe's like, all right. And, Bill thinks he's a diamond in the rough. And Bill then tries to tell him, don't try to confuse me with the facts, is one of the things Bill says to Dave about things, because he's talking about he's not qualified. Joe, like I said, doesn't care. But after Bill leaves, Joe ends up covering for him and does a really good job. And now, though, Bill is threatened, because not only is Joe doing an okay job, he's doing a really good job. Tries to then get Joe to screw up with the reading, but Joe is cool as a cucumber, walks right through it. Overcomes all this stuff. He's like, he really is a diamond in the rough. Bill complains as Theo does magic on him. Beth then goes to lunch with Theo and implies that they fooled around. It turns out they made out. She likes him and tells Lisa, and Lisa's just really repulsed. And she figures it out. It's the magic tricks. That's kind of Beth's kink. Quarter. Beth shows Lisa a quarter that Leo pulled from her mouth with his tongue. Lisa later throws it to Matthew, saying it's a magic mouth coin. He puts it in his mouth, so it's been in 3 mouths now. Bill then comes to apologize to Dave when Lisa lets him know that people love Joe, and she's doing this, we come to find out, to mess with Bill. Bill thought Joe would suck at it, and that's why he picked him, and turns out he's a natural. Dave refuses now to take Joe off the air. Bill continues to try to undermine Joe, but it doesn't work in the booth. Joe comes to find out that Matthew is trying to fix his own computer. Apparently he's trying to do Joe's job since Joe can do his job. And then nearly electrocutes himself in the process. Beth now comes, and she has finally reached the end of her, shall we say, attraction to Theo. And it turns out because he has started showing her how the magic tricks work, and it's removed all the mystique. And this is where the alliance of Magician and Gob from Arrested Development would really be mad. You're not supposed to tell trade secrets, because apparently Beth thought the magic was real. Theo then brings her an empty cup and then makes water appear into it and all that stuff. He pulls off some more tricks, but she knows how they work now. The magic's gone. Joe now contradicts Bill in the booth. Finally, Bill tells him his broadcasting days are over. Joe doesn't care. Dave still wants him on the air. Apparently, this is where Lisa comes clean about the calls just to mess with Bill. Finally, everyone is now stirring the pot between Joe and Bill when Catherine comes in. Like, oh my gosh, I thought you were sick. She still is, but she's putting on a brave face because she will pretend to be healthy to get back in the booth because Bill messed up with Joe. All right. And they both admit he's really good. And that's why she's come here to basically save her job. Beth tries to break up with Theo at the elevator. He wants her to admit that it's weird, that he's weird, and that's why she's doing it. We see Theo appear to leave down the elevator, but then we go into Dave's office and he's there. Just as Mr. James comes out of the restroom and they walk in with Beth, and he's still there in Dave's office, and once again affirming that he's weird. But I love David Cross as a guest star in this. But next time we'll have Physical Graffiti and Led Zeppelin as we continue our Led Zeppelin albums. So I guess familiarize yourself. Maybe Brock Sampson can show up here later from over there, big Led Zeppelin fan from back in the Venture Brothers stuff. But like I said, fun episodes continue rolling here. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. We love to hear from you guys, even if I don't pay attention. If you say something negative, I'll probably just ignore it, but I do like constructive feedback. And of course, you can tell us that directly, not only through social media or here on YouTube, but you can write us at notfunnyguys.offthereels@gmail.com. I will make sure Casey not only reads it, but reads the spam folder, my not funny colleague. But you can tell us over there things you like, things you don't like, if you'd like us to mix it up more. But we're going to finish News Radio. So we're going to plow on through and get it done is the plan. And then after that, I've got a couple things I'm thinking about covering, but we'll get to that bridge we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. There it is. But as I was saying, write in, tell us. We'd like to hear from our audience. We actually got a really great one over on the main podcast that's coming out On Monday, we'll be looking at Mission Impossible 2, that hot pile of garbage. Well, we did have a nice write-in we read and talked about on air that we really appreciate someone writing in and sharing with us. And we do read those things on the air. But that's over on the main podcast. So over here on the YouTube, we do the TV shows. And over on the main podcast, see that behind me, Not Funny Guys presents Off the Reels. We talk about movies. And right now, as you can guess by my last statement, we're in the Mission Impossible franchise. We're hoping for a good bounce back. So we had a great start. The first sequel was hot garbage. Sorry, John Woo. It was hot garbage. We talk about movies over there with my Not Funny colleagues, Casey and Eric. They also have another podcast that they do where they talk about horror movies and wrestling. And that's Not Funny Guys presents Wrestling with the Horror of It All. They talk about WWE. They're in their Summerween stuff and horror flicks. There may be a crossover coming soon because they're going to be covering Sinners, which I have not gotten to watch yet, but want to. So I may be actually joining them for that episode. So we might have a crossover. But if that's not your cup of tea either, we do have a third podcast, which is Not Funny Guys presents Thinking About Thinking, where myself, Dr. John, and our Not Funny gal, Dr. Kristen, talk about all kinds of stuff, culture, AI, academics, anything we are thinking about. We've been doing some stuff on memory and nostalgia, geography, culture. We jump all over the place. It's a lot of fun, very conversational, very free-flowing. And if that's something you enjoy listening to and it sparks some thinking in your own head, then we've done our job. But like I said, like, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff here and on our other podcasts. And I will see you next time. And until then, remember, keep it not funny.